Hey, what's up guys? It's Star Brother here. Welcome back to another in-depth analysis video. In today's video, we will be analyzing the Excelsior class starship from Star Trek. Like always, so let's begin. The Excelsior class starship was the first Excelsior class starship, the USS Excelsior, VIN number NX, or later NCC 2000 or 2000. It was commissioned in the late 2280s. The Excelsior class ship, the actual Excelsior class, ran to an unknown time. It was not fully determined when the last Excelsior class was decommissioned. But we do know the Excelsior class went on to serve about a century's worth of missions. So I would like to say the last one was decommissioned maybe around the maybe really late 2390s, early 25th century, maybe along those lines. It's classified, the Excelsior class is classified as a heavy cruiser or heavy exploration ship. It's sometimes used as command vessels. It was so popular that it was sometimes used as command vessels by the Admiralty. In this video, we'll be discussing schematics, weaponries, purpose, crew complements, facts about it, different wars it's been in, and then we're going to review three of the most famous ships. Well, two most famous and my personal favorite of the bunch, and my personal favorite Excelsior class. And then at the end, if we have time, I'll give you my opinion on the ship. So the Excelsior class was classified as a heavy cruiser. The original prototype, the USS Excelsior, was their test bed for their new transwarp device, which the test was led unsuccessful after finding faultiness in the transwarp device. It was later refitted to be Starfleet's next heavy cruiser. Although it was originally classified not as a heavy cruiser but as a heavy exploration vessel, this ship was easily given the class of heavy cruiser because of its assortment of weapon. It has 10 dual emitter Type 8 phaser banks, and it also has 6 single emitter six Type 8 single emitter phaser banks of the same type. It also had 6 photon torpedo launchers, which gained a forward and aft firing arc, and it was later customized to fit quantum torpedoes. And it also had a massive array of deflector shields that was able to have taken barrage of hits. So it was easily able to fill its classification as a heavy cruiser later on. The standard crew complement of an Excelsior class was about 750, with sleeping quarters for an extra 100, and a full evacuation number of over 9,000 personnel. It stands alone as the Miranda class, as being the Excelsior and Miranda class stand as the two longest used starships, with the Excelsior being used well over 100 years, along with the Miranda. I mean, we can both see that when they were both around with Kirk, when Kirk stole the Enterprise. I mean, the Excelsior was stationed at that starbase. We see they had many refits, and they served in 2 major wars: the Cardassian War and the Dominion. And the Excelsior would also serve in many other battles, including the Battle of Wolf 359, and there were unconfirmed rumors. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, because I know there were Mirandas at the Battle of Sector 001, but it's not confirmed either way if Excelsiors fought in the Battle of Sector 001, although my presumption theory is that if there were Mirandas in the Battle of Sector 01. It's most likely that maybe they may have had 1 or 2 Excelsiors, but not likely they had many, because by the time of Sector 001, the Excelsiors were reaching up there in ages, just like the Mirandas. So there is a possibility, but it's not confirmed that Excelsiors fought in the Battle of Sector 001. But it was confirmed that multiple Excelsiors fought in the Battle of Wolf 359, including the USS Reluctant, or the USS Righteous. The USS Righteous was an Excelsior class, most notable for serving in the Wolf 359 skirmish, battle with the Borg. Its popularity soared after the commission of the Enterprise B, NCC 1701B. After the commission of the Enterprise, after the decommissioning. Sorry, guys, I'm kind of doing this on the fly here. After the decommissioning of the Enterprise A, NCC 1701A, Starfleet needed a new flagship to bear the name Enterprise, being the 4th ship to bear the name in space, of course. Its main envoy. Now, here we go into the segment of the video where I will go through 3 different Excelsior classes, a brief history on them, and notable battles they may have served in. The first one I have on my list is the Enterprise B, which we were just talking about. Enterprise B, or identification number of NCC 1701B, was notable for making contact with the Nexus. On right around Stardate, I would like to say Stardate 2-3, in the early 24th century, the Enterprise B was commissioned. And aboard it, on its commissioning, was Admiral Kirk, and Mr. Scott and Mr. Bones. Oh, Mr. Chekhov was there. And what happened was that Kirk was presumed dead after trying to modify the deflector dish. What happened was that they went into the Nexus, a kind of like a time loop where time doesn't seem to exist. 2 cargo ships were stuck there after failing to retrieve. After failing, 1 ship was destroyed, and about 46 survivors, including later Enterprise D bar associate and owner Gaiden, was also among the survivors of the 2 cargo ships. Later, the Enterprise B would go on to live a happy career and was speculated to be decommissioned, although the fate of that ship is unknown. We assume it was probably decommissioned because there's no confirmation if it was being destroyed. The next ship we have on our list to review for the Excelsior is the Prototype. The ship that bears its class name, the USS Excelsior, NX-2000, or later to be known as NCC 2000. Now, the Excelsior has had 2 notable captains. One captain, which escapes me now. One captain that notably had a rivalry with Kirk and was very cocky about his new ship. Attempted to stop Kirk from stealing the original Enterprise. Later, we would also be confirmed that the USS Excelsior would later be captained by Captain Hashirisu Sulu, former helmsman of the Enterprise. We know that the Excelsior was once home to Ensign Tuvok, later known to Voyager, and the Excelsior was never confirmed destroyed. We assume it was decommissioned, just like most other Excelsiors that survived its long career. And the last one we have to go on is probably the most recent in the timeline. The USS Crazy Horse, NCC 50446. The USS Crazy Horse was a Excelsior-class ship that served a part of Picard's little 3-ship fleet, along with the another Excelsior class, the Agamemnon, the Enterprise D, and the Crazy Horse herself. It was unknown who commanded the ship or who was even part of the crew at the time. What we do know is that it served aboard Picard's during the Borg threats of the One, or known as Lore. The Crazy Horse was a part of Picard's little battle group for that sector. After that, we don't really hear much about the Crazy Horse. Actually, she's not even mentioned at all after the episode, so we can safely assume she was probably decommissioned by the end of her run. I mean, so yeah, those were the 3 Excelsior ships I have. Now, we did mention the Agamemnon, but nothing really special about her either. No identification number, but like I said, she was another Excelsior that served along the Crazy Horse. My overall thoughts of the ship, it's definitely not my favorite, but she's definitely not my favorite among the classes. I mean, that will always be the New Orleans class frigate, but the Excelsior definitely holds a special place in my heart as the first ship I saw that wasn't the Constitution Enterprise, so, she's definitely a versatile ship, and it took so long for me to get this video out to you guys, because there's just so much information on the ship. I mean, the notes I have take up a good portion of my paper, so there's definitely a lot of information on the ship. But it's not my favorite, but it's definitely not my least favorite. I have to admit, my least favorite we'll get to later. Don't worry, I plan to cover my least favorite ship. I mean, serving in 2 major conflicts, the Cardassian War and the Dominion War, plus serving in the golden age of explorations that followed both wars, she's definitely, and in popular games like Star Trek Armada, in the mod for Sins of the Solar Empire, Star Trek Armada 3, the Excelsior has always been known as the Federation's heavy cruiser. Her ability to soak up attacks and dish them out with the 6 proton torpedo launchers, later quantum torpedoes, and the phasers, they just knock it out of the ballpark, man. I mean, the Excelsior is all around a sturdy ship. Definitely one, if I was to create a fleet, which there will be another video later on this, maybe sometime soon, I plan to make a video. I'll talk about it later in the video. So if I was to create a fleet, I definitely would have a handful of Excelsiors, because they can take up the damage. Quick announcements before we end the video. Like I mentioned a little bit ago, expect the next video I do will be if I was an admiral in Starfleet, what ships I would personally pick, and how many of them, and why I would pick each one. Like always, this has been Star Brother. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below on what you thought of what's your personal opinions on the ship, and any ideas of any ships I should do in the future. Like always, guys, it's the Star Brother, signing off. Have a great day.